Thanks, Joe. And now for something completely different if you were here for the previous presentation. I'm Lisa Harwood, and I'm a FinOps analyst with Vega, and I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here. I attended this conference last year, and my husband likes to joke because I wanted to get into FinOps. I'd come up to anybody, stick out my hand and say, "Hi, my name is Lisa, and I want to get into FinOps." "Hi, my name is Lisa. I want to get into FinOps." "Hi, my name is Lisa, and I got into FinOps." And guess what? You all talked to me, and you must have given me some amazing advice because I got into FinOps. Well, thank you. Fast forward 12 months, not only am I attending this conference, I'm on stage as well. Thank you. If it wasn't for this amazing community of FinOps practitioners, it probably would have taken me a much longer time. And this is my colleague, Michael.
Hi, I'm Michael Arkoosh. I'm one of the people Lisa accosted on the boat last year trying to get into FinOps, and here she is. But I've been in FinOps for quite a while now. I came from an MSP and helped build up their optimization practice and couldn't really find a platform that worked for us. So we went and started Vega, and here we are.
So we're going to talk to you today about how only not to collaborate with all of your CloudOps teams, but to have them adopt a FinOps-first mindset. What are we talking about? Everyone knows how important it is to collaborate with their CloudOps teams, but a lot of the recommendations that are out there honestly aren't quite that useful, right? One thing that comes to mind, they tell you, tell your engineers that this cost savings is going to equal the salary of a new engineer. Well, the reality is, FinOps teams really don't have a lot of pull when it comes to budgeting, and I'm really curious how many CloudOps teams, after a rigorous round of cost saving and workload optimization, kept their budgets intact the following year, right? We're going to take a different approach. We're going to help you leverage an existing situation in your organizations. In particular, we're going to show you how a mistake is going to be that opportunity to collaborate with your CloudOps teams and have them adopt a FinOps-first mindset.
Okay, so what is CloudOps? Most people have their own opinion and definition. So really, when I look at CloudOps, I'm looking at the team that's building your governance. They're the teams that are working to get everybody in your cloud environment driving towards one goal, bringing both your dev teams, your FinOps, your finance teams all together and really trying to drive everybody in that same direction. As we go through with our scenario here, we're going to talk about presenting to a team and bringing an optimization rec to them, and really where my mistake was made. So I was working with a team and they were spinning up a bunch of EC2 resources to get some GPUs. They were starting to use more AI in their environment. And we came to them with an optimization rec to right-size a bunch of their resources. And they kind of laughed at us, said, "Hey, we're doing this for a reason. We need the GPU. It's a limited resource. We can't really shut them down." So how do we work with those teams knowing that they have something and our analytics wasn't incorrect? We were just missing a piece of information, right? So how do we work with that team to move forward, keeping their trust, but also making recommendations where maybe they can still spin down some of their resources?
Well, first of all, don't panic. Well, FinOps Foundation tells us avoid a loss of trust, right? And this is like, oh my God, what did I just do? In cases like this, it is really useful to have a trusted partner, an advisor, someone who's done this before to take your hand and walk you off the ledge, right? With these new recommendations, you need to refine the data in multiple iterations, right? Rarely is it ever perfect the first time around. All right, how are you going to get this CloudOps Team A to take you seriously? Well, you need to figure out what happened. But before we dive into that, I want to stress that we chose a new use case around AI on purpose, right? State of FinOps 2025 report talks a lot about all this new investment in new infrastructure areas for AI, right? And I want to say at least 50%, if not more, of all of the presentations these past couple of days have either been focused on AI or included AI. What does this mean for you? It means that not only is your workload going to increase, but it's going to become more demanding. All right, so let's step back. How do we figure this out? Well, you guys are, FinOps practitioners. We need to look at the data. Overall, you need to compare what you need versus what you have. And what you need is basically knowing who is using what and why. The who, you need the finance owner, the technical owner, if there's a budget owner. The what, I mean, this is your data, right? Your cost data, your usage data, your productivity data. And the why, you need a direct line of communication with your CloudOps teams, right? And that doesn't mean just being able to send them a message. That means you get a timely response that answers the question you asked. Now, getting a view of what you have is a little tricky, especially in this environment, right? And this is a good place to use a tool like a platform like Vega's or another, where you get all of your resources viewed through a single pane of glass. And when our clients migrate to Vega and they take that first look, more often than not, they will see that what they have is missing and incomplete data, right? You thought before, like, my tagging compliance, that's pretty good. Then you look at everything and then you see this giant pile of untagged resource staring at you. Another example is, let's say your organization, they acquire another company, right? When you look at everything that's streaming in one place, you realize those guys were keeping that data to themselves. It was siloed, and all of a sudden you have all this new stuff you need to look at, right? When you have this global view, it dawns on you. What you're facing isn't just this relationship with CloudOps A, you've unearthed a much bigger issue. And that issue is that your organization does not have a single source of truth.
So a single source of truth is important for a lot of different reasons. Number one is just seeing everything in one place, but it's more than just your metrics, your cloud spend, right? It's knowing what your applications are doing, knowing who owns them. And so as you bring in your information into a platform or any tool, it's going to be important to understand not just, yes, we have 80% CPU or 40% CPU, making sure you have all those billing accounts, making sure you have the application owners, and making sure you have the right people in the room to help inform those decisions. So working with that single source of truth, you're gonna have a lot of different ways that drive you to pushing towards that. As Lisa mentioned, acquisition is always gonna be something that drives chaos. That's gonna drive people to wanna understand what your cloud spend is. There's top-down directives, just having out of control spend. In our example, we were talking about, we had a net new development, right? Something new that wasn't known before, and nobody knew what was going on other than this one app team. So as you bring all of that information into a consolidated group and work with the different teams, you're able to move forward with a single source of truth within a platform, within a CMDB, and then you can go forward and make informed decisions.
So Michael's bringing up these levers, right? These organizational levers, because not only are they powerful, right, but they're important to you. State of FinOps 2025, practitioners said the path that they needed the most to get their work done was organizational alignment, right, management buy-in. It's still important, right? But coming up close in second place is investment and tooling that increased 20% year on year. And that shouldn't surprise anybody, right? Our work is increasing and is becoming more and more complicated. Practitioners need help to see what they're doing. And at this time, we would like to take a small commercial break. When we did our dry run at the FinOps Foundation, they said in their feedback, we want more cowbell. That didn't land. We want more Vega. So we have an opportunity here to tell you why we think that we are unique. And the first thing, like Michael said, this is a platform that was built by practitioners for practitioners. He left his practitioner job because there was nothing out there that gave him exactly what he needed to see to get his job done. Another thing we're really proud of is that we curate the data before it hits the platform. Cloud service providers make billing errors. It's a fact. So we make sure that what you see in the platform doesn't have those in there. Then one of my favorite client quotes is that Vega is agile as hell. What does that mean? You're looking in the platform and you see the data a certain way, and you've got 5 teams here that have to see similar data, but they all want to see it in a different way, right? Normally that means you pull the data, you manipulate it manually, you create the reports, you hand it out. Tell us what you need to see and how, and we'll put it in the platform. So instead of manipulating the data, wasting your time doing that, you send each team member a relevant link. You might ask, so how do I tell you this, right? How do I communicate with you? One of the best things about Vega is that when you become our client, you don't just pay to use our platform. We are a partnership. We are that trusted advisor who's going to take your hand and walk you off that ledge time after time. And it's going to be me or Michael or one of our very talented FinOps team who does that with you, as long as you're a Vega client. And our clients really, really like this, because more often than not, our clients recommend us to new clients. And long story short, we are serious about the success of our customers. And commercial, back to our regularly scheduled presentation. So where are we in our scenario here? You figured out there's no single source of truth. You have organizational buy-in. You have a mandate to get this done. You still need to talk to CloudOps Team A, right? You still got to do that. FinOps Foundation's got great advice, right? Provide context. If someone knows why they're doing something, they're more likely to do it. But it might not be enough, right? I know why I have to do it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to prioritize it, right? One thing you can do is reframe the request as part of a larger purpose, right? If people think that what they're doing is part of a larger thing, it matters, they're more likely to collaborate with you. So instead of talking about bad data and losing money, you might say, well, the CEO is aware of the situation. It's way more widespread than we thought, and we think we're losing business over it, right? So now CloudOps Team A is helping save the company. And if you do have to push that mandate because they're still not on board, if you do it, show empathy, right? Empathy is a great motivator. Tell them, I understand, this is out of your scope. I understand this is boring. We're doing it too, and we need to get it done. All right, you've got your arguments all lined up. How do you get them in the room, right? One thing you can do is use a neutral space, right? You're on an equal playing field, and offer them something. Reciprocity is a powerful motivator. All right, you're giving me coffee and donuts, fine. I'll give you 15 minutes of my time. With remote teams, this is a little trickier, right? You want that coveted space on their calendar. And you're probably gonna have to use that organizational mandate to get their attention, but sweeten the deal, right? Sweeten the deal, tell them the CEO needs this done, but we will be so happy to communicate your contribution to the solution. They are getting something out of it, right? When you do start talking to them, appeal to something, their professional pride, right? Appeal to their egos, tell them, hey, CloudOps Team A, you're the reason we figured this out early enough, before it does too much damage. And then listen to them. Ask them, how does this affect you? What have you seen? Especially if they start complaining, because this provides something called psychological safety, which means if someone feels like they can speak their mind without any repercussions, they're more likely to engage with you. And lastly, when they are on board, let them do it their own way, right? Autonomy is very important here. When you control people, control leads to compliance, which is fine, but autonomy leads to engagement. So now you're engaging with CloudOps Team A. How do you use that engagement to engage with other CloudOps teams and bring that coveted FinOps-first mindset?
So one of the best ways I've found to get cloud adoption across multiple teams is by using KPIs, comparing different teams against each other, not in a negative way, but working with them to see where is one team succeeding and another team is maybe falling a little bit behind. In our example, we had a team that was spinning up resources, particularly for AI. We were able to work with them to reduce the amount of actual resources they needed. But then we have other teams that are doing similar things. And rather than just starting from scratch, we can bring that team in. And one of the best ways we found to do that is find something that the other team that you are working with is doing well that they can share with Team A. So rather than having one team talk to the other and say, this is what we did, we're really great at it, you have both teams coming in, talking together and sharing lessons learned, and it breaks down those walls. And the more frequently you can do that with different teams, the more likely you are to have those teams just working together on their own. When they're going to spin something up or start a new piece of development, they're more likely to reach out to other teams to see if anybody's done it, looked into it, has best practices, lessons learned, rather than starting from scratch. And as you do that, you're gonna have more of a centralized team working together, driving towards those single goals that your organization is really pushing for.
You're living the dream. Congratulations. You are collaborating with all of the CloudOps teams. They are engaged and they are thinking with the FinOps-first mindset. Well, like everything in this new AI environment, these panicky situations, these new case scenarios are going to keep coming at you. So it is more than likely that you're going to have to do it again. But this time, you're going to have our framework to make it easier. And one step further, like I said, all of this talk about AI, all of these presentations about AI changes a lot. Yesterday, the FinOps Foundation had a presentation about creating FinOps for AI. And they had a slide that said, what do practitioners need to do to deal with AI? Number one on that list was initiate collaboration with AI teams. This framework can be scaled to do just that. And I bet when you do it, the opportunity that you guys use will not be a mistake. Oh, that's different. We are done. We gave you 4 minutes back to your life. If you have any questions or would like to chat with us, Michael and I will be at that bar right over there having a well-deserved drink, and you should join us because you deserve it too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Huge round of applause. Thank you.
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. For more FinOps X 2025 content, go check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions for all of our wonderful speakers. We appreciate your support.